Welcome back to the Big Fella Podcast. I am your host, Noah Tanner, and today we are rocking a solo episode. We have a lot of guest episodes coming up in the next few weeks, so I want to make sure I still get a couple solo episodes out. And today is October 28th, 2025, and we are going to talk about the best ways to prepare for 2026 as a guy or as anybody that wants to better their life. I talked to, the term big fella, by the way, I get some questions from this, from you guys about this. Big fella is a gender neutral term. Yes, I mostly work with bigger guys. Yes, my content is mostly catered to men in their 20s, 30s, and 40s that are a little bit more overweight. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the habits and the systems that I am promoting cannot go towards someone else. I understand the qualms and quarrels of an overworked, stressed out, overweight, big guy just trying to do the best for his family, and that's who I target. But I work with several female clients, and I have tons of people from all over the world in my DMs and in my comments. So I just, again, wanted to say thank you all so much for the support lately. These past couple weeks have been pretty crazy. Ashley's car completely died on us, so I went and bought a new car, so that was fun. And it's Halloween in like 3 days, and I don't even have a costume picked out, which is pretty crazy. But just want to kind of answer some of those questions that's been popping up a lot more. But today we're going to talk about how to prepare for 2026. My best methods to prepare for 2026. 2025, I learned a ton. I always like to look at my years as chapters in my life, and I really always like to say, okay, what did I get out of this year? What did this year teach me? What did I build this year? Where did I grow? And I could probably sit back and label a year based off of the growth. I mean, I could probably do it ever since I turned 18. I'm 24 now. So because of that, I'm also realizing that I probably should have shaved before I recorded today, but so be it. Better late than never, I guess. I'll just do it afterwards. Regardless, each year there is a goal. There's resolutions. There's desired outcomes. And today I would like to talk about where I see the world and where I see kind of the most common problems in the people that I work with. I'm not talking about like massive geopolitical issues, but I am talking about the state of the world in the United States in 2025 and how it's affecting and making growth harder, and how you're also enabling it. How we as a society are kind of enabling this stagnation for a lot of us, right? A lot of people are falling into this analysis paralysis, and I would like to kind of just point some of those things out. So from the start, the greatest way to simply put the improvement in your life is, in kind of broad terms, is the 4 compounding habits. I've talked about this in the past on some of my other content. This isn't going to be the first time some of you guys have heard this, but the 4 compounding habits are health, wealth, relationships, and knowledge. Okay? It's pretty broad. Health, wealth, relationships, and knowledge. But those are the 4 habits that you can always be improving on, no matter if you're 10, 20, 50, 80. It doesn't matter. Those are the habits that you can continuously compound. Those are habits where one small action within them reverberates and can really grow and compound this into something pretty tremendous later on in life. And we're gonna kind of talk a little bit more about those today, and how life and society and whatever you want to call it, some of the challenges that a lot of us are facing when it comes to stacking some of those compounding habits, because there have been easier times to do it. And we're going to talk about some of the common roadblocks that prevent people from stacking and improving their life in those realms. It mainly comes down to identifying and then battling distraction. A lot of us are complaining about the economy. A lot of you guys, a lot of Americans really are, and Canadians are just really frustrated with inflation and the government and the economy and social media and AI. Not to say you're not rightfully so. However, what a lot of people are failing to realize is the environment around you, in my belief, it should not dictate your actions. Your actions should be entirely dictated by you. Now, sure, your environment does have influence on it, but I'm seeing a lot of people saying, oh, the economy's bad, so what's the point? What do you mean, what's the point? You get one life. Just because the economy is not in the greatest place that it used to be doesn't mean you don't have an opportunity to still build a kick-ass life and still help a lot of other people. I don't understand that mindset. I see so many people fall into that. Like, the only way through tough times is through community and through battling the distractions that are constantly thrown at us, right? That's why I wanted to turn more of what I do into more community-oriented things, because life is isolating, and we're entering an age of severe isolation almost being the default. So let's talk a little bit more about how the 4 compounding habits are affected and the most common distractions pulling us away from these habits, and where I see them the most as a coach who has worked with over 250 people, and I've had clients. I've had a roster of 50 clients for the last 4 years or 3 years, and I talk to a lot of people about very deep conversations, and I have a cool, interesting, changed perspective on a lot of this. So, number 1, health. What's the number 1 distraction against people improving their health? Obviously, you can say highly processed foods. You can say food deserts. You can say convenience. I would say convenience over anything. We live in everything can be at our doorstep right now as soon as we want to, no matter what kind of society. And it's only getting expedited through AI, but it's been this way around health and fitness for a long time. It's the DoorDash, it's the social media effect, it's the instant gratification effect. And that's the hard part around the idea of the 4 compounding habits, is that these are things that you have to invest time and energy into every day, every week, to see the true results and the compounding effect. With your health, it's not just your physical health. It's not just your weight. Obviously, a lot of you are here to listen about the weight. Yeah, it's a little harder to be in a calorie deficit when everything around you is uber convenient, right? It's a little bit harder to be in a calorie deficit when there's high calorie foods being marketed to you 24/7. Absolutely. And having the wherewithal and the awareness to understand that whole foods are going to make you feel better and fuel you long term. Also, one thing too, before I go any further, if you are in your early to mid 20s or even late 20s, even early 30s, just because your body can handle eating pizza and cheese and fried bread and all this other shit 24/7, and you're not taking care of your body now and you think it's going to stay that way, it's not. Your body will shift, and your body is that is going to compound negatively if you are not careful and you do not make some switches. Eating a healthy diet, not even from a weight perspective. Obviously, your weight's going to have a pretty massive influence on your overall health, but I have friends that I know that just straight up don't care about what they eat. They're just eating like they've always ate when they were younger as a teenager, and they have nothing to police that. They have nothing to pointing them to desire to change that. And sure, right now your body can digest it, but what happens when you're 38? What happens when you're 52? It will change. So just keep that in mind. You're only going to be as young as you are now. You'll never be younger, is basically the point I'm trying to get at. And as you get older, the body starts to change. So please just keep that wisdom in mind. Keep that perspective in mind. You are in this flesh temple until your grave. Take care of it, please, now, so it stays strong. It's like building a sturdy foundation on a house. Okay? That's what we're trying to do here. The last part of the health compounding effect that a lot of people are missing is isolation. I saw a quote the other day that said isolation is poverty. And I'd be pretty hard to disagree with. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about the introverts that enjoy being alone. I enjoy my own solitude. Solitude is one thing. Isolation is another. Solitude is good for you. You need to have the ability to be okay with being completely alone. Right? And there's a lot of inner work, mentally and spiritually, that comes within that. There's a lot of knowing yourself and self-awareness and difficult conversations you have to have with yourself to be able to achieve that. That's not what I'm referencing here. I'm talking about isolation. I'm talking about patterns that are happening every week where you are willingly or subconsciously choosing to be alone, usually paired with a screen. That's where it gets messy. The isolation paired with technology is when things get messy, okay? Whether it's video games, whether it's social media, whether it's work, right? I'm going to be honest. I love what I do. I love the impact I get to have on people, and I love that I get to come on here and just talk about this. I am incredibly isolated for large parts of my week, and I fucking hate it. I miss having coworkers. I miss having people to work with every day. I miss going into a place of work. I work from home, and I have Ashley who also works from home too. Obviously, we love her to death. If you're wondering about the Christmas tree, that was her. When I was out buying the new car, I came home and she just put up the fucking Christmas tree on October 18th. Not even before Halloween. Or before Halloween, not even after Halloween, which is insane. But regardless, just figured I'd address the elephant in the room for those of you watching on YouTube. But isolation paired with screens is only going to dig you deeper into your own current beliefs and biases, because the content that you consume is going to it's going to expand within the echo chamber of what you currently believe, and it's going to try to create this like self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you believe the world is shit and the world is going to shit, you're going to consume more content that reinforces that behavior and that mindset and mentality and that take, and then you're going to deepen and worsen those beliefs, and it's only going to lead to more overthinking. Because effectively, when you are unplugging, when you are plugged in, and you are trying to just relax, you're not relaxing when you're scrolling on social media. You're fucking rotting. When you're rotting on social media, and again, 30 minutes a day is fine, but anything more than that, stop it. You're turning your brain off and letting other people think their thoughts for you. They're implanting their thoughts, their opinions, and their attention, or they're stealing your attention from you. And that isolation, repeated day after day, go to work, come home, don't talk to anybody. You're not a part of any clubs. You're not a part of any communities. You're not a part of any gyms. You're not a part of a larger family unit or friend group. Change that. That community is ultimately what you want. I don't think people realize there's a huge idea amongst men that we want to retire with a big plot of land, maybe a couple animals, couple trucks, a garage to tinker around in, maybe some guns to shoot, big retirement dream, American dream kind of thing. You don't want that as much as you truly want community. And you can say you don't want people in your life as much as you want. You can say you want to be a loner for the rest of your life. And for the handful of you, sure, that might be true. But for the vast majority of human beings, we thrive off of community. We thrive off of having people there. This is the most isolated humans have ever been, is a society in America. Like, we're getting pushed this mantra of hyper independence. Go out and move out on your own and do it all yourself. That hyper individualism is unique to America, and it's created this mindset that like asking for help makes you weak, or being a part of a bigger family makes you weak. Meanwhile, the happiest people I know are not very well off, but have a large community of people to lean on. And I got a text from my dad this morning. I'd like to read out loud that I think is incredibly profound. He says, "Gratitude turns what we have into enough." Gratitude turns what we have into enough. And I feel like that's where a lot of people are getting missed out on with their health, because they're constantly seeing women with BBLs or men with six-pack abs blasting testosterone. By the way, the vast majority of almost every single creator in the fitness industry is on something. I am not on anything, and it doesn't look like I'm on anything. All right? I'm not training to be a bodybuilder or physique. My physique isn't a big driving force in what I do, because I feel like that's a lot of vanity. I care more about the security and longevity of my life more than anything else. And that's kind of the culture I'm trying to promote here. But the happiest people I know have community around them, and you'd be really surprised just how much your life will improve, as opposed to having this mindset of, oh, I want to have this big cabin in the woods and just retire and not talk to anybody anymore. That's going to get really fucking lonely really quickly. We were, as societies, we were part of tribes. There's this term, it takes a village. Find your village. And that kind of moves into the next topic of wealth, right? The next compounding habit, wealth, and the distractions that pull us away from building wealth. It's the idea of consumerism and hyper-individualism. We were told that we needed to move out as soon as we turned 18, find a good job, get a place of our own, start learning how to do it all ourselves. And I don't regret doing what I've done. I've built a nice family for myself here, but I also recognize that there's a lot of benefits to staying at home. There's a lot of benefits to having a larger community to be a part of. And it's a blessing to even have people that love you enough to even make that an opportunity. Having parents to stay with, having grandparents to stay with, aunts, uncles, neighbors, friends. This community that you guys can lean on is so massive. And I've been pipe dream time. I've been super keen on this idea of building a compound, a commune, if you will. All my closest friends and family kind of have heard me talk about this idea about 1 million times. But I want to buy land within the next year or two, and I've just been kind of waiting because I want to find a good chunk of property that I can do whatever the heck I want on. But I want to buy a big enough piece of land to where my mom and my dad and my best friends and my sister and anyone else can also have a place there. If you have community to lean on and people to ask for help with, you don't need everyone to have an individual vehicle. You don't necessarily need every single person to be like, everyone can play their own role effectively. And I think going into health and wealth, a big piece of what we're missing right now is loving your neighbors, having people to lean on, having community to lean on, being a part of a village. But if you want to benefit from being a part of a village, you got to be willing to be a villager. And that's probably a topic for a bigger video, but that's just a big part of it's going to help your costs, because then you're not fronting all of it yourself all the time. It's going to help your mindset, and it's going to help your overall nervous system, knowing that you have a security blanket of other people there if you really come on to hard times. I'm not saying that you can just like coast. You know me. You got to work fucking hard. That has to happen regardless. But when fit hits the shan, when you know you've got 5 or 6 other people there to help you, or however many people there to help you, that's what the family unit is all about. And you are going to be much healthier and much wealthier in more ways than one. Now let's talk a little bit more about the actual financial part of this. Consumerism. It is all about buying new shit all the time, 24/7. And I have lived in such radical disagreement to this lifestyle for so long. TikTok Shop, Amazon. I don't have an Amazon Prime account. I don't ever buy anything off of TikTok Shop. I've never online shopped for myself ever. I have to go through about 14 different conversations with myself to let myself buy a video game for $60. And I don't need to be, and it's not from a scarcity mindset. It's because I'm so obsessed with providing for my family and consistently investing into assets that it's hard for me to fall into this consumerism mindset. But that's because I've went through a lot of transformations and traumas that led me to that. The average person does not have that issue. The average person is suffering from the opposite issue. So we both need to find a better balance. I need to come away from it and learn how to invest into my life in other ways, while most other people need to come away from the spending, come away from the consistent buying off of TikTok Shop, away from the consistent buying new clothes that they don't need, away from the subscriptions that they absolutely don't need, away from some of these vices that they're stuck with, right? A lot of the people that I work with, use food as a vice. And that's a part of the health problem. A lot of people that I work with will use other things. This is just people across the board. Men, women, and any adult really has a vice, whether it's weed, drinking, food, other drugs, something else. There's usually some sort of vice as a form of relaxation. And now we're getting to a place where we can finance those vices, not just pay for them, but like literally put them on payment plans. And now we're like gambling for them. And it creates a very vicious cycle that doesn't lead anywhere good. And this might sound obvious and like basic common sense, but who the hell else is talking about it? Actually, like who else is talking about this stuff? Because I don't see anyone. And if there is, and I'm just ignorant, then please enlighten me, because the average person, especially a younger person who got their first job, is trying to save up their money. Look at what's around them. It's constant offers to buy shit that they do not need. It's constant offers to buy clothes or cars or insurance, insurance is different. I shouldn't have said that. But regardless, it's just, if you can put your head down and build that emergency fund and let it compound, it's going to, and buy assets that fit into your life, you're going to fight so much harder against the distractions that are constantly being thrown at you. Let yourself have fun, enjoy life, because life is short, but also do things that compound within your health and your wealth. Yes, the economy is not great right now, but that does not absolve you of responsibility for taking care of what's in front of you and taking care of yourself and taking care of the people around you, right? You don't be the type of person that makes excuses and saying, oh, the economy's tough, but they're also still betting money on sports betting. But you're also still buying, DoorDashing Domino's twice a week, or DoorDashing McDonald's, or DoorDashing something else. Don't tell me that the economy's tough, yet you are living one of the most privileged, convenient lifestyles ever. You have a spending problem. You don't have an economy problem. Number 3. Relationship distractions. So we've gone through health, wealth, now we're on to relationships, the third of the 4. Relationship distractions. This one is super prominent, especially in my generation of people in their mid to early and late 20s. It's dating and hookup culture. Now, this is largely due to social media absolutely fucking frying our dopamine receptors. And when you go on Instagram and scroll a couple times, or TikTok and scroll a couple times, you don't go far on a new algorithm until you find somebody doing a street interview with somebody drunk in a city talking about fucking, would you smash or pass, or would you, rate me out of 10, all this other stuff. OnlyFans models. Like, the fact that we have middle schoolers that are like 13, bro, scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, and like, it's just a normal thing to see OnlyFans models. I'm not necessarily dissing like sex workers or anything, but the fact that that's like a normal part of what we've got going on right now is a fucking massive issue. And it's ruining a lot of young people's perceptions of what relationships should really be like, because the expectations are massively skewed for both men and for women. Men get dogged on this a lot because, yeah, men are fucking pigs sometimes, but also women are just as at fault in different ways. And at large, dating and hookup culture is a lot of the same thing. It's how can we get into bed with each other and just, ghost each other afterwards. That's the new norm. That's ridiculous. And it's causing so much more hurt long term for a short boost of dopamine. Have one night of hanky-panky and then catch feelings and then be depressed about it for 3 fucking months because you ghosted them or they ghosted you, but you actually felt a connection with that human being. But that's what you're programmed to think that you want to do. Because for some reason, you've been sold the belief that that's going to make you happy or make you feel better long term than just being yourself and trying to be genuine and have a genuine, real connection and find someone that actually loves you for who you are. Pro tip on that, by the way, as somebody who's been in a relationship for 6 years, I don't know everything. I never claim to, but I've been in one relationship my whole life with Ashley. We've lived together for 4.5 years, and we started long distance for the first year and a half. She lived in Florida when we met. A good relationship makes your life feel easy. A good woman, a good partner makes your life feel easy. Okay? And the last part of shifting blame, and the last part, I just spoiled it, dang it. The last part of dating and hookup culture that is really hurting everyone internally is this idea of shifting blame and pointing fingers. I see a lot of guys doing this, especially, and it pisses me off. A lot of guys are saying that, oh, women here are just crazy, unrealistic expectations, and they expect you all to make six figures, be 6 feet tall, blah, blah, blah. You're seeing people say that on social media because it gets clicks. You are letting a generalization by a couple people who know how to manipulate an algorithm completely dictate your viewpoint on an entire half the world. That shows more about your ignorance than anyone else's. Dating and hookup culture is promoting this idea that I'm going to talk to you just enough to get you to like me. I'm not going to be genuine at all, so I can get in your pants, we can have a good time, and then I can be done with you and move on to the next person, the next shiny toy. Because that's effectively what you're doing. Whether you're a man or a woman or anything in between, if you're a part of this hookup culture bullshit, you're the problem. You are. I'm just going to say it. And it's promoting this idea of I'm never in the wrong. It's always their fault. And that's a great way to feel good about yourself, is just never take blame and never take accountability. That's a great way to grow as a person. That's why you see these grown-ass men, 29, 33, 35, still acting with the social awareness of a fucking 18-year-old. Because they never take accountability. They never accept the fact that they could be possibly in the wrong. They are drinking this Kool-Aid from largely the alt-right pipeline, blaming these women and these skanks and everything else that they like to say for their own problems. It's never your fault. True masculinity and the people that are actually going to have no problem, the men that will have no issue finding a partner are the men that are okay with saying, that was my fault. I'm sorry. I screwed up. That's on me. I will do better, and then actually following through, because a true apology is not by words, it is through action. So start taking some accountability, delete the fucking hookup apps off your phone. I'm not saying dating apps don't work, because Ashley and I met on a dating app. But change your intentions. Be serious. And I know it's not for everyone. You got to have fun in your 20s, whatever. Do it, sure. But also be a fucking human being, please, because you were once a kid. And they were also once a kid. And when you can learn how to take care of that person's inner child, and they know how to take care of your inner child, a lot of really good things, beautiful things can happen. Okay? Okay. Finally, 4 out of 4, knowledge distractions. Okay? So health, wealth, relationships, and knowledge. Knowledge is kind of the hardest one to explain. But it's so important because we're in this dopamine cycle of a society right now, and it's more about scrolling and this idea of the attention deficit. And I've already touched on the social media thing and the dating apps thing pretty heavily, but we're in a society where people think that they can make millions or hundreds of thousands of dollars just using social media and AI as leverage, despite a concerning lack of knowledge. And unfortunately, you see this a lot in the fitness industry. I talk about this pretty openly. The fitness industry is a cesspool of people that are now after greed, because online coaching and basically personal training online has proven to be a pretty lucrative career if you can do it right. And now you have a whole new generation of people coming in over the past 5 years who have seen these people who were titans of industry, the Jeff Nippards of the world, that have made phenomenal livings for themselves. That Jeff Nippard is ridiculously educated and really good at his job, but They aren't, but they saw how much money he made. So now they're entering the fitness industry for the entire reason to make money, not to help people. And that is hurting people in the long run. And that is being exemplified in a lot of other industries as well. It is an attention game. It is no longer a knowledge game. And that is largely due to the vehicle of capitalism. And we're not going to talk about that either, because I think there's pros and cons to both. Okay, there's pros and cons to capitalism. I'm not here to talk about that today. But with how social media has steered us, we as a society, it's entirely based off an attention as currency. And if you can get people's attention and keep them, you are going to make more money. And it's not gonna matter how much knowledge you have. It's not gonna matter what your degree. Again, this is specifically within social media. It's not necessarily saying that people are going to college or anything else. But to talk on that front a little bit, AI is frying people's brains too. So think about it. You want knowledge. You want skills. Are you going to be gaining life skills? Are you becoming more of a capable human being and actually experiencing growth by using ChatGPT to do everything? Are you going to gain any valuable skills in life that make you a more attractive mate or a better person by relying on an AI LLM to make the decisions for you? Critical thinking is important for your development as a human being. And again, when you spend most of your free time scrolling and letting other people dominate and destroy your attention span, you have a hard time figuring out, what do I want to do for hobbies? When was the last time you picked up and read a book? It's this idea that your attention is being... What the heck? Okay, I gotta pause this. All right, we're back. Molly got herself stuck under the desk. This is what you get when you got two geriatric old dachshunds. Anyway, to finish up my point with the knowledge deficit, you need to start thinking a little bit more long-term with your growth, because you are giving yourself a death by 1,000 cuts within your attention and your knowledge and your education, because you were relying too heavily on the tools that were meant to be tools and not entire information diets. It's like what you're trying to do is look like a bodybuilder and have the physique of a bodybuilder, but all you're doing is leaning on just literally nothing but protein shakes. You need to have real food. You need to have real education. And you need your opinions challenged. So that's just a part of it. I could probably make that its own video itself. So let's talk about a little bit of the solution to wrap this bad boy up. Also, I think you guys are going to be really excited about some of the guests that I have coming on over these next couple of weeks. So the solution to the deficits in these 4 compounding habits of health, wealth, relationships, and knowledge is self-awareness and systems. There's 2 things that you need to do. Number 1 is you have to get a really good idea of what am I good at and what do I suck at? And you need to be able to say it to you objectively. And if you don't know, ask the people around you, what am I good at and what do I suck at? They will tell you, if they really truly actually care about you, they will tell you wholeheartedly. All right? I'll be honest. I've been told by people in my life that I am overly frugal, and I've been also told that I get scatterbrained and I let some smaller details fall through the crack, and it makes me seem like a bad listener. I'm being 100% authentic with you right now. That is 100% true, and it's stuff that I am actively trying to work on, right? I get so overcommitted onto things, and I think so big picture, and I think so long-term that I miss very important details that makes people feel unlistened to. So that is a weakness of mine that I am going to try to work on. I am working on with my actions, not just my words. So having that self-awareness, either between, you don't just say like, oh, my weakness is that I'm fat. That's not a weakness. What are your action weaknesses, like action steps? What do you do on a daily or weekly basis that is actively hurting you, right? These weaknesses are important to plan in for the systems that you use as your solution to these problems, right? If you suck at communicating, or if you suck at initiating hard conversation, maybe that's something you practice, clearer communication with other people. The quality of your life is entirely dictated by your ability to have difficult conversations. So that's an important skill to learn. Maybe that's a weakness. Maybe that's something you can work on, right? Regardless though, have this self-awareness, have this conversation. What are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Once you can fully identify a couple of them and really like, yeah, that's completely me. Like I get it, I see the patterns, this is me. Patterns are the number one way to see if it's actually a strength or a weakness, if you see them popping up repeatedly, right? So once you have this level of self-awareness around you, considering these 4 habits, look at systems to improve them. Right? So if you look at health, wealth, relationships, and knowledge, and you see one glaring problem of something that you do, maybe that I called it out, maybe you're scrolling too much, maybe you're isolating yourself too much, maybe you're financing and paying way too much attention and money into your vices, maybe that's a weakness of yours, okay? What you need to do is look at your self-awareness and turn that into systems. So as an example of this, if let's say this as if from the more of the health perspective, if you know that you have a really, really, really bad habit of snacking every single night after work, right? Let's say you snack late at night after dinner. Every night, and you've done it for 3 years straight. Maybe they're not the most crazy snacks. Again, eating late at night doesn't really do anything for weight loss. It's total calories in, calories out. But let's say you have a snack every night for the last 3 years, and then you hire me as your coach, and you think, hey, should I cut the snacking out just straight up? I'm probably going to say no, because that is something that has been ingrained into you. We need to have the self-awareness to understand, yeah, it's probably not helping us, but also we need to be realistic with the systems that we set up. It's just, so maybe we switch what the snack is at first before cutting the action of snacking out, because it's so ingrained into you. You need to know yourself. You need to know your habits. You need to know your strengths and weaknesses. This is why so many people fail fitness journeys repeatedly over and over and over and over and over, because they're setting ridiculously steep expectations of themselves completely unnecessarily, because they're trying to say, oh, well, I'll just get up at 5 a.m. before work and I'll work out before work every day. Very few people can actually just turn that switch on and just do it consistently for years out of nowhere cold turkey. So stop expecting yourself to do that. That's just an example. You're completely disregarding the most important person in this journey when you're setting up these habits for self-improvement. It's yourself. You have to meet yourself where you're at. It's just like if you were having a friend struggling with mental health, you wouldn't make them sign up for a fucking marathon, right? It's like, let's baby step this real quick. Let's meet ourselves in the middle. Let's meet us where we're at first. And this is how you do it. You have to have rigorous self-awareness and then apply your systems accordingly. I know I'm scatterbrained and I know I forget things sometimes. So I made it impossible for me to forget things, especially when it comes to work. For those of you watching on YouTube, I just showed you my whiteboard, my double-decker work whiteboard. I've got everything on my entire weekly schedule right there. I've got all of the things that I need to care about as far as work goes with running the coaching business on these whiteboards. Okay? That is my system, because I sit here every day and I work on what I need to work on, but I know it's right there as a system to remove that stress. So many of us are trying to just hold all of this in our heads, systemize some of these habits, make them small, make them minuscule, make them tiny, and make them repeatable. Make these systems so redundantly simple that it would be ridiculous for you not to do it every day. That is where progress is made. It's in the inches. We all like football. Football is a game of inches. You can't score a touchdown without getting a couple first downs first, right? And that first and 10 run for 3 yards means something. That's where we need to get at. I have a gratitude journal that I write in every morning. I've done it for over 2 years. Again, visual learners, you guys can see it. I keep it right in front of my keyboard every morning, so I never forget it, because I know my awareness, and I know if I had it stored somewhere, I'm completely forgetting about it. But if I have it open next to me with a pen, I'll never forget to do it. So think about some of these systems that you can break down into smaller, more bite-sized pieces that are connected to your long-term goals. If you want to start saving more money and you're door dashing things 3 times a week, maybe cut it down to 1 time a week first. Again, meet yourself in the middle. Meet yourself in the middle. Now, personally, I would fucking completely remove DoorDash off my phone immediately, but that's just my opinion on DoorDash. You guys know I don't really like DoorDash. But I did see something that they are helping people out because people's food stamps are running out because the government shut down, and they're like making a donation. If that's true, Shout out DoorDash for that one. That's a DoorDash W right there. That's a DoorDash W. Anyway, folks, we've been yapping for almost 40 minutes, so I'm going to call it there. I apologize for the minor intermission. Hopefully I didn't screw up the recording or the audio or anything on OBS, but the dogs are high maintenance. That's what you have when you have super old grandma dogs. But I'm feeling super grateful today, guys. I really wanted to talk about this. I was trying to think of ways to kind of talk a little bit more just about the world and current events a bit more, and I feel like I did that a little bit today, but I would love to know some of your guys' opinions on this and places where I maybe didn't touch on it as deeply as maybe you would have liked. If you guys want an extension of this episode, more of these solo podcasts, let me know. As I said, we have a lot of guests lined up for these next couple weeks, so I'm really excited for that. And I cannot wait to have you guys see some of these beautiful people, maybe for the first time or returning. We'll keep that a mystery. But if you guys are new here, subscribe, hit the notification bell, drop a comment what you liked, what you didn't like. I really feel like this was a fun conversation, and I hope it opened your eyes to a couple things. And if I did that, then I did my job. So I love you all so much. Go be a good person. That's more of what the Big Fella brand is about more than anything else. Be a good person because you know how to fit into yourself. You know how to care for yourself. If you know how to care for yourself, you'll be better at caring for other people, and that's really what this is all about. All right? Subscribe to everything on the channel, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff is in the description as far as my free 25, as well as my free 25-day email course. Go check it out. Really good stuff in there. I put a lot of time and effort into it. I got some really cool things coming around the turn of the new year. So, like I said, I record this. It's October 28th. Keep an eye out around December time because we're gonna be launching a really cool, brand new program, something we've never done before, and we're scheming. So that's what I'm gonna be working on later today. But I hope you guys have a wonderful time. I'm gonna be doing some basketball tonight, so I'm excited. All right, y'all. Peace and love. Thanks for tuning in. I love you to death. Keep it simple, big fella.